All right, well, welcome back. This is a follow-up from the last video where we looked at how to get temperature data uh, using an API. So now what we're going to do is we're going to be connecting this sensor to an Arduino, and we're gonna read it with the Raspberry Pi. Uh, Now, how can you do that, you may ask? Uh, I'm gonna put this link in the description, but there's a library that you can just upload to your Arduino called Firmata, and then you can just do the standard. At least for what we need it. We just need a standard, but you can do a few other mores. And then you just need a Python library. And then, yeah, this is basically the setup. Um, and this port is usually something like this, right? But yeah, so the setup is going to help you go through it. All right. So what we want to do first, we can look at the moisture sensor 2.0 or V2 Arduino, right? Just to kind of see how they go connected, but yeah, definitely not. It's something like this, but basically Arduino reads from an analog, and then there's three cables. One is for electricity or power, another one ground, and then the last one is an analog channel, basically. Uh, so cool. So, all right, cool. So what we're gonna do, on our helpers, we're gonna make another file called Arduino. I guess let's connect this first. So the first thing we're gonna want to do is so I have this little board. I can put a link to it in the description. Let me actually write that down in my notes. But yeah, these things are not that bad. I think there's like a 3-pack for like $9 or something, and then these are also like $10 probably. So cool. It gives you the labels on how they should go. So you just follow them. All right. So it goes like this. Now what this does basically is just makes it easier for me to connect the cables on the sides here. So cool. Now we're just gonna grab our USB and we're just gonna connect that to the Raspberry Pi. All right, so it's now connected. You get that little red light once it's connected. But cool. So now looking at our sensor, there's 3 cables. The black one is ground, red one is power, and then the yellow one is our analog. So let me grab some cables. All right. Also gonna need a little screwdriver here. All right, so now I'm gonna look for the ground on this side. Okay, so on this side, uh, they have both the ground and the 5 volts. So I'm gonna do it on this side real quick. All right, so I got the ground. Moving on to power. And yeah, for power, I'm doing the 5 volts. And finally, we're going to do the analog, which is also on the same side, and I'm going to do the 5th one. All right, so now we got all our 3 cables connected. And this is a Raspberry Pi Nano or an Arduino Nano. So we can look at the board. And yeah, so I basically connected it to this ground and this 5 volts, and I connected it to this 5th analog channel. So cool. Now I'm just gonna actually connect the cables to the sensor. Black one on the Arduino is ground, so we go to the black one on the sensor. The white one here is power, so we're going to go to power, which is red in the sensor. And the green one is the analog channel, which is the yellow one. So just like that. Now don't soak it in water yet or put it in your plant. We're going to need to calibrate it with some water. And we'll see how to do that in a minute. Actually, that's going to be the next thing. We're going to read from the Arduino using the Raspberry Pi. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to import our library, the PyFirmata. So from PyFirmata, we're going to import Arduino, util, and input, since we're going to be reading from it. All right, sweet. So now we're going to create a function, and we're going to do communicate. So we're going to start with print communicating to Arduino. And we're going to do PyFirmata Arduino class. This is where we're going to put our directory to where that Arduino is, which is usually something like devices, TTY, USB, and then it's either going to be 0 or 1. And I think this probably shows you here, right? So you can run this. And you should be something like USB this. So that's exactly what I have here. Cool. So if everything goes well, and let's do a little try. We'll do some error handling here. Not much, just accept, exception. We're going to print the exception and then return none. We're going to return the Arduino, basically. Oh, Jesus, I can't type today. Great. So it's just communicating. Now what we're going to do is going to create a... let's see if we can read it first. Okay, so and here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna call what analog channel we're gonna read from. Sorry, I just had a sneeze. But yeah, the way we do it, we call our little analog property, and then we put our analog channel, which in our case, we did 5, right? So we put our 5th one. And now something to heads up to is this PyFirmata library only supports up to 6 ports of analog. I know the Arduino Nano has 7, I think, or 8. So if you go above that, the library is going to throw an error, even though it exists. But yeah, just that's why I go 5. That's the highest I can go. All right, great. And for this, we can even create a constant analog channel. No, we're going to do sensor analog channel because I feel like we may need it in the future. We're going to do 5. Now copy that, paste it in here. Now we're going to set this mode to input. So we just do mode equals to input, which again is imported from here. Now we need this utility class to start iterating through it. It's going to basically create a thread that iterates, creates the loop basically, and the Arduino. So we're going to call it equals to util, which is the library we just imported, that iterator. And then we're going to pass our Arduino class. Oh my God. I just cannot spell. And then we're just going to do iteration.start basically. And we're going to do a little print Arduino that analog or sensor sensor analog. Okay. Channel here. And then that read. All right, so now let's run this. Python, or actually we need to call this, right? So communicate. Python, Arduino. Communicating to Arduino. It takes a few seconds, but great. So we got none. Let's figure out what's up. I feel like this. We're gonna do a bit of debugging. Print Arduino connected. And then we can just do to sensor or to channel. Sensor analog channel. Arduino, that analog. This should return something. Dang. All right, so it's communicating. It connected to channel 5. And yet, it still returned 0. All right, one thing I'm going to do real quick is going to connect another one. All right, so now let me check it out. Now this may not work. Yep, still none. Okay, let me do a bit of debugging off camera, and then I'll be right back. All right, so we're gonna go through installing Firmata into an Arduino. I debugged for a bit, and it just wasn't really working. So we're gonna go to examples, Firmata, and then standard. It's gonna open a new window. So I think you can close the other one. Yeah. Cool. Now, you just verify. And then you pick your board. Mine is, say, Nano. Processor. So you come to port. So here's the port. Sweet. So now just upload. You're going to see your Arduino blinking. I said it uploads. Then once it's done, it's gonna stop blinking. Cool. So that's really all there is to it. Now we can close this. And I've been updating my Raspberry Pi. Now we're gonna connect our Arduino back in the Raspberry Pi. Once it's done upgrading, I'm gonna reboot it. All right, cool. So you can see it's back on. All right, great. Oh, geez, this is gonna take a minute. All right, since we're here, let me just test it, right? What was it? ls dev tty this. It is here. It's either one of these, but it should be this one. All right, so let me try this, right? Python, Arduino, that Pi. So we still got none. I don't think it's AMA, honestly. It shouldn't be. And if it is, yeah, I don't think it's that, is it? Yep, no. It should be the other one. So let me wait for this, and I'll be right back with you guys once the Raspberry Pi is rebooted. So cool. See you guys in a minute. All right, so I'm back. All right, cool. So the only thing I did really is I imported time, and after I start the iterator, I make it sleep a little bit. Reason being, I guess it probably just takes a bit to start the actual loop. That's my guess, but I'm not sure. So it's just a little wait of half a second. Now I just created a variable for a moisture sensor with just Arduino that analog and the channel basically. Cool. So then I said the input is that. Now I still gotta do this. And this was the way I debugged, basically. It's for each of those, I was checking that out. So I think we should be good now. Let me try running this again. And what we're going to do is we're going to calibrate it. Perfect. Now we get that. All right, we're going to leave this as reference right now. But for now, communicate should only communicate and then return this. All right, so now we're going to create our calibrate function. And actually, since this is an Arduino file, I would imagine anytime anyone comes in here, it's going to have to load Arduino anyway. So we're going to do that. Okay, sweet. And actually, we're going to do this as well. All right, perfect. All right. Now, so for calibrating this, right now our sensor is dry and it gives us a value, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to create a file, a little quick JSON file that basically keeps our values between dry and wet. So if you need to, go get a cup of water. You're going to need it. Perfect. So now for the actual calibration, we're going to create a config file. So calibrate config file. And then we can just call it something like, oh Jesus, moisture that config.json. I like doing that. It's weird, but cool. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to read from this with open calibrate config file as read. We're going to do config f.read. Now, if there is a configuration, means we don't have to calibrate it. So calibration exist skipped. Now, if you want, you can do it so that it's like, if you want to recalibrate, you can do something like input like what you like to calibrate, basically. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to skip. So I'm just going to return. So now to create this, we're going to need the value. So let's do. So actually, we don't even need this communicate function anymore. Because we're basically doing this, and then we're going to paste it in here. And yeah, we don't really need this, I don't think. Okay. So what we're really doing is just reading the value, right? So it's going to be the dry value. And just to make us aware, we're going to do something like print. Make sure the sensor is dry. And we can just do something here like press enter to continue. That way it gives us some time before it actually starts reading without us knowing, basically. All right, cool. Now, once that's ready, we're going to do something like put your sensor in water now. And then input, same thing. Press enter to continue. And wet value. So yeah, basically after we have the dry value, we're going to put it in water and get that, what that is basically. And then we're going to do a now equals daytime, that daytime. How did this import it? Import daytime from daytime. So then that out, right? Config object. So now we're going to create our actual JSON file here. Updated that. Now we're going to format this string with the day. And then the time and then the year. Okay, great. So now that we have updated that, we're going to do our wet value. Wet value, and then our dry value as well. And then we're going to write to it. As F. We're going to write to it. F that write. And actually, this is not read, this is a write. So actually, we can just do JSON that dump, and you can just pass in the object. So we can do our config object and then the file. So we just do F. And then we can just print done calibrating. Now let's test it out. All right, so now if we run Python Arduino, it's reading, trying to connect to it, moisture config.json. Oh, damn, I thought it created it for you. But I guess it doesn't, so. We'll just create a new file, call that. All right, so I guess let's try it again. All right, so it's connected. Make sure our sensor is dry, which it is. Okay, now we put it in water. And make sure you do it only to the white line, or just a little bit before. Then we hit enter, done calibrating. All right, so now we just calibrated our file. 5th of August, 22, or wait, wet value, and then the dry value. Sweet. Now, we're not going to need this anymore. We're not deleting the function, but we're just not calling it anymore. So we're going to do a little get latest moisture, which we don't really need this analog channel. Yeah, let me bring this iterator. I wonder, do I need to stop this? That end? No, okay. I guess not. All right, so we're going to grab this. And then we're going to call something like raw equals to, do I have the moisture sensor? Yep. Moisture sensor that read. Okay, so now this, we can just return a raw value, right? But we're going to do something more. But so let's just check it out real quick. All right, let me bump this up to like a 1. I need to do this up here too. Now let's do it. That should work. All right, so now let's get the percentage, right? So between dry and wet, so there's got to be a way to get the percentage. So I'm going to do moisture percentage here. And we're going to just do the value. So raw. And this will return a float. Okay, so now we're going to read from the file to get what the actual values are. So calibrate config file as read. And maybe, yep, I'm going to do this. No, I'll leave that for another day. I'm trying to get done here. All right. SF. We're going to do config equals f.read. And we're going to do wet equals to config. Get wet value. And dry equals config that get dry value. we're going to return it's going to be the raw value minus the dry value times 100, right? So this is basically just getting the percentage between those two. Divided by the wet value minus dry value. Since wet is less than dry, we want a positive number, so that's why these are also raw minus dry instead of dry minus raw. So now what we can do here is we can return an object instead. So we can return something like raw raw, and we can get percentage equals to get moisture percentage, and we just pass in the raw. And here you can just call it percentage so now if this works, hopefully should get something really low. There's still a few drops, so it won't be exactly that. Config. Do I have it out? No. That gets string has no attribute. What do you mean? You know what? Jesus. I think I can just do JSON that load. File. All right. Now. Okay, it's a 0%. I guess it is dry. Now if we put it back in the water. Let's check it out. Should be somewhere like 90 something. I don't know if it goes up to 100, but now with it having a few drops, I think it'll be, should also give us not 0, but okay. Maybe because I was touching it, does some weird things. Okay. Right. Okay. All right. So now we have our function there. Now to our API. Temperature. Def. Now instead of temperature, let's do something like latest. Or let's leave that one. Def or we're gonna get one for latest. And for this, I guess we can just return. Now, I don't want to start import. Why not? From Arduino, import, get latest moisture. And then we're just simply going to do here, get latest moisture. Now let's run this. If we open up our little client here, we're going to create a new request. And we're going to call it latest. Boom. Oh, Jesus, that was fast. Yeah, that's pretty quick. Now I need to figure out what's wrong with this. Or maybe not. I just need to go grab a plant. Let me grab a plant real quick. All right. So I'm back with the plant. So we're going to put the sensor up until this line right here. All right, so now you can see it. It's just kind of up to the line. So now let's request the latest again. Now here we have the percentage. It's 34%, which is usually not that good. You don't want it 100% because that means it's water. So probably between like 70 and 80, I would think would be a good number. So let me add a little bit of water and we'll see. All right, so I added some kind of like around the sensor. So I think it'll be kind of high. Well, not high, but it'll be a good number. 85%. That's probably, I'd probably think it would go up to like 90 maybe the most. But cool, now let's also, since it's latest, we're also going to get the temperature. So we'll do moisture data equals to get latest moisture, and then temperature data equals to get API data. We need to rename that to something better. But I think now we can just return moisture data and temperature data. Now, since we did a little reload, I should have reloaded. So now let's hit it up. Let's see what's up. So now we get our moisture data and our temperature data. So yeah, next time we're gonna look into connecting the water pump. That's gonna be a fun one. So that's gonna be our next challenge. Cool. All right. Cool. Peace out.